Well, hello again. Um, I hope your day is going well. To me, it's quite beautiful out today. Snow. The last couple of days, it's been kind of misty, and almost like so misty that it bordered on the edge of rain. And everything was getting kind of wet. And I kept thinking that we were going to get hoarfrost somewhere along the way, that the temperature was going to suddenly drop, and that all this moisture, of course, would make everything really slick, but it would also just absolutely gorgeous as we got hoarfrost on all the limbs of the trees. You know what I mean? But it never happened. It just stayed warm, and it stayed warm, and it stayed warm for like the last 3 days. And then this morning, very light, almost on the edge of rain, misty, foggy, and that has all now turned to snow. And my understanding is we are supposed to get, mild estimates are 6-7 inches, and on the other side of the coin over a foot. And we're not even in there's parts of Michigan and stuff where they're saying they're going to get like 2 or 3 feet. Actually, that'd be pretty darn cool. But for right now, though, I love it. The only thing that sucks for me on this is, I have to park in the street at this location, and so when you get 1.5 inches of snow, you can't park where I'm currently parked because they have to have plow routes. So I end up on days like today having to move my truck around a couple of times to avoid getting towed and to avoid the plows. But I don't, it sucks, but I don't mind so much because I think it's beautiful and I love the snow. And it's temporary because this is just while I'm taking care of things down here in the city with my mother. My property up north, this would not be a concern. So that 10 acres is all mine. There's nobody around. Heck, I don't even have a paved road, and they restrict traffic of heavy machinery on it after a certain point of every year because with the moisture and all of that stuff, it gets soft. So, but I'm looking out my window, and I am looking forward to a lot of snow. Kind of brings out like the inner child in me, I don't know. I just really like it. Now on to the things that really matter. Not really, but where we are bound in this conversation, right? And that is the wonderful world of war robots. And there was one thing that I got to thinking about lately, and that's because, I've been watching, and then I watched a video from Predator. And for the most part, I don't really pay much attention to his videos. They're humorous. I like his formatting, but I don't find them particularly useful. However, I was watching one of them, and at the very end of it, they were getting their butts handed to them, and they got down to about the last third of the match, and he wasn't going to be able to battle their titans and stuff. So what he did is he dropped, and I have one, which is why it stuck out to me and why this came to mind. He dropped a beacon runner. And it was very fast and turned the beacons very quick. So he's got the new Saboteur setup in it. And that got me to thinking, though. I drop into matches, and I'll drop in and I will see on my side sometimes 2 or 3 of these things drop right up front. Or I'll see 1 or 2 of those, right? And then the other one that I see a ton of these days is, of course, the Loki, which I never really built up. It really wasn't a playstyle for me. But I can see it, and I'd probably put a whiteout on it and see if I could run around stealth and imp people while I was trying to take the beacons, right? But it got me to thinking, though, because that's a beacon runner, right? Okay. You got that, you got the links, and Skyros, right? Those are your big dedicated beacon runners. However, I don't use those to beacon run per se. This is my current beacon runner, and this is the beacon runner from the meta before. Now, these aren't really beacon runners in that sense of the word. So what I am positing is that you need to understand the difference between a beacon taker and a beacon turner, right? This turns beacons, doesn't take beacons. You need to run away and go get something else, right? This takes beacons and holds beacons until there's no competition left, or it goes down. One of the two, right? And that is the same structure that was behind this. It took beacons, or it went down holding them, trying to hold them, right? Not the same methodology that is behind these. And this is why I say I'm looking at them in terms of there is a beacon taker and a beacon turner. And I'm throwing this out as a kind of a possible piece of advice, right? Because I run into these in the first 3 minutes, and I destroy them all the time. And I will chase them down and destroy them. And so I find it interesting that people drop those at the beginning, when the beginning is actually when they are the least effective. I don't even begin the kit. That is the least effective time for you to drop your beacon runner, because that is when the beacons are just going to get turned almost instantly, or essentially what you're doing is you're taking orbital strike charges away from the people that are going to be defending the beacons. Okay? The other thing to bear in mind is you'll notice something. I don't have quantum radar on this. I also do not have quantum radar on this. Yet both of them are fully capable of dealing with stealthers, and quite handily, right? Not a problem. Why? Because the Tesla ones, obviously, you don't have to see your target to hit them. They do 180 degree in front of you, horizontal and vertical, right? So all you have to do is get within 100 meters and you'll hit them. Doesn't matter if it's stealth, doesn't matter if it's invisible little Kaji. Pardon me, had to cough for a second there. Kaji, it doesn't matter, you can hit them. This is also true with this one. When you have the ring of fire going, you just run the ring of fire over the top of somebody and down they go. This is what people, and there's other people like me, this is what people like me who play in the upper meta gear, this is how we roll. Something to keep in mind if you are a beacon runner though. What's my target? My target is the first 3 minutes, 4 minutes at the most, right? At that point, this bot's gone. Or the other one, they're gone. I'm not expecting them to last. They're there to get a charge. Most of the other people that are going to have bots that are capable of dealing with stealthers without having to have a quantum radar, without having to have a seeker or something like that, right? Those bots are going to be primarily dropped when? They're going to be dropped in the first 3 or 4 minutes. They're going to be the ones that are used to try to establish ground, right? So my suggestion to you is, if you are a dedicated beacon turner and not a taker, drop your beacon runners after 4 minutes. Let the other people have time to settle into their stuff and lose some bots and clear the field out a little bit and get to their positions, and then drop that bot and play the running game. Because I'll tell you what, you know, as somebody who doesn't really do the beacon running thing anymore, you know, granted, I go after beacons pretty steady. It's a primary focus, no doubt about it. But I don't go after beacons in lieu of other things, which is the difference between your dedicated beacon runners and not. So if you're the turner type though, and you want to go out there and you want to flip a lot of beacons, do it after 4 minutes. There is nothing more annoying to someone like me than you've got your beacons held, right? You're battling it out, and some little asshole, pardon my language, they get out there, right? And they start, they zip past you. You can't jump real fast. And they got that on there, and they get away. And what do? They start flipping those beacons. And now you have to pull away from what you were doing to try to chase them down and try to get the beacons. In that regard, the Skyros is faster. But I think, and the Lynx is really good too, but I think at that point that I might have to give the credit to possibly being the most annoying one that I've run into consistently is the Loki. And it's primarily because both the Lynx and the Skyros don't have stealth as a long-term thing. Very short-term on the Lynx, and nothing really at all unless you put a module on it or you have the mothership for the Skyros, and then you're still only looking at 10 seconds or less, right? Which means you can finish them off. This, on the other hand, sits around stealth forever, and I'm sure some of you have noticed that thing just sitting there and you couldn't do anything about it. So this is what I'm personally tempted to bring this up. I don't even know what I'd put on it for weapons because I don't think it matters. And set this thing up as a saboteur, and either put a whiteout on it or a seeker because of how it has the effect on people targeting from range, right? And I would have that for a late game beacon runner. You've lost control. Both sides are low on numbers, or partially down on their numbers, and there's a tight battle going on in one area. People get focused. People get tunnel vision. That's the time to drop one of these things and be an absolute annoyance. Oh my God. I shouldn't have even said anything because I don't want more people doing that. But that's the way I was looking at it, though. I was like, this is what you drop in the first 3 minutes if you want to go do beacon running. You drop this. You drop the Tesla Raptor, with the healing lady and a healing drone, right? You drop, or you do the Reviver like what I got. And I would actually recommend probably the Reviver, although the other one works pretty good too. But either way, either one of those two is great for this role, And then of course the Ocho, the Tesla, and then of course the Teth, right? These things are going to be able to take the beacons from any beacon turner that shows up, and they're going to be able to do it regardless of whether or not they're stealth or any of that other stuff. They're going to be able to hit them. And then, so consider that for a minute. Don't worry about the beacon fight in the first 3 to 4 minutes. Worry about establishing territory. And then, depending on how the tide is turning, use your beacon runner actually, tactically, to just drive guys like me up the wall. But that's actually how I look at it. I wouldn't drop it up front because all you're doing is grabbing beacons up front. You're getting an orbital charge, sure, but those beacons are all going to flip other than the home ones. And the home ones, let's face it, it doesn't really count as though you've done anything taking the home beacon, even the first 2 home beacons on some of the maps. Let's face it, it doesn't really. Nobody looks at it and says, you did your job. No, everybody's trying to get those for the orbital strike. They don't count. This is why on certain maps, when I go through the thing at the end, I either say it's consistently possible to get 1 or consistently possible to get 2 beacons on this map. And I subtract from the count, unless I know, like myself, or I saw somebody else that didn't get any beacons up front, I subtract from the count to get what their real number is. And very often, that number goes down to 0 for a lot of people. So don't think that the home beacon counts. It doesn't. It can't. It's a gimme, you know? Oh, I got hooked. Well, I won't be able to get this one. So we'll go back this way. Oh, the miner's out already. That's fine. I'll eat these ones. Let's freeze my other guys up to raise a little hell with them, right? Oh wait, did he go back around? He did, didn't he? I think he did. Oh, there he is. See, and this is why, you know, here's another thing. Miners, yes, they can be really dangerous to get them laid out up in front, but this is what you expose yourself to. The very same mechanic. And I just don't recommend it. You know, I recommend a little bit of patience. Help your guys take ground at first, and then go back and drop those things when the guys like this are no longer active. Right? Uh-oh. 3 of them. Well, you know, is what it is. What am I doing here? What am I doing? We're going to go here because they seem to be moving around quite a bit. Yeah, because they got that one. Oh yeah, they're moving in a horde. School of fish! School of fish! So now we'll give them a little room. Let them... trim the ranks down a little more here, right? Thin things out a little bit. Give a little bit of support going. Yeah, that's bad timing. Oh, bad timing on my part, right? Yep. Yeah, I didn't get any heals. And there is the weakness of this one. If you don't have any heals with your Nodens, you're vulnerable to the Void and the Chasm specifically. Not really anything else. Oh, the Sonics will get you too if they're point blank. If they're not point blank, not so much. But if they are point blank, yeah. You know, I wasn't paying so much attention and I paid the price. Let's go choose location. Let's go back up here. And let's just try to see if we can again thin the herd a little bit. Good, good. Seem to be doing well, guys. But I'm gonna go back and take the other spot here. Go. See here. See, now the thing about it is when you go up on a hill, sometimes that means you become vulnerable. Nah, yeah, I was vulnerable too, but I am doing fine here. And we'll go here. Now what's interesting is you'll notice all my guys are over here. None of them have went for beacons. None of them have peeled away for a second to go for beacons. So I'm foregoing my damage, and we're going to just do some beacons. Why? Because I know we're down to just one guy, but I want to guarantee. There we go. Come down by me because I'm on the beacon. Nope. He gave up. No, he didn't. Oh, he's got the Atlas. Yeah, way too late to drop the Atlas. Sorry, bud. Good for your honor points, I guess, but not so good for anything else. So, you know, that's how you take a Nodens down, though. Is now his was just timing. He got in there, and see, you know, timing is everything in this game. His was timing because I had used my suppression on a different bot just before he dropped. And then once he dropped, I didn't have suppression available. And I didn't have any heals available. And so I got caught, essentially with my pants down, and Nodens can't move. I can't, like, run away. Ah! I'm kind of stuck there. And so, I mean, the way you deal with maulers or anything else coming in on your Nodens close like that with sonics or the shotguns in order to try to do the massive damage on you is essentially you need your suppression up. If your suppression is up, because that hits a target and does an AE around the target, so if there's more than one bot in the area, it hits them all. You know, that's what really, that's my saving grace most of the time with it, is I hit the guys who are on me doing damage, doing hard damage with the suppression, and then on top of it, I have the suppressor effect, so I increase the suppression by a huge amount. So I can take them, and when I hit them with the suppression, their damage drops to borderline non-existent, right? And then the other thing is I got to have the heal links up. If I don't have the heal links up, then, you know, again, I'm vulnerable. I don't have that super hard durability. So if you want to actually, you know, like coordinated way take a Nodens down, you have to have somebody that either has blind or taunt, and then you simply time it. Once they taunt them, you slide in with either your sonics or your shotgun and get to point blank range, you know, 50 meters or less, and boom, boom, boom. If the Nodens doesn't have any healing links going, and he can't suppress you, you're more than likely going to burn him down. This is one of the reasons why a lot of the times I don't like to move forward with the Nodens, because it exposes me to that very thing, right? If I hang back, they have to at least theoretically go past my team to get to me. The problem with it is, of course, very often much of my team is behind me, not in front of me. I don't know why, I'm just doing something different for a change. I'm just going to go around the backside and see what happens. Grab this one. Let him go after that. I'll go after this. It looks like they all went to camp, doesn't it? They all went to spawn camp. Come on, bud. So, as of right now, let us go back. Ooh! That's where they are. There, I just hit him with the suppression. Oh, it didn't help. I was hoping to save my guy. Oh, we got a flyer here. Alright. He does pretty good when he's flying, too. Give him a link. Do that. Yeah, baby. Here's what we'll do. Suppressed him. So I don't know what happened to my team, right? Where are they? What are they doing? And, you know, so, get this going. Get rid of that guy. He's proven to be a real pain. What are you guys hiding back here? Come on, get in the fight. Fight, guys. Stop hiding. Man, you guys, come on. Move forward. pizza. I think there was a pizza guy playing with Tank on his last stream. But that looked like a pizza clan, so I don't know if it was the same guy. No idea. Pizza Shark. I just remember pizza, so I don't know if this is anything at all. Oh, nice, not bad. Don't know. What did what's this? Is this progress towards junk title number 21, I guess. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of all the junk titles. I would like it if they were more meaningful. You know, it seemed like the original ones had more meaning to them than the ones that came later, right? Because these are all the original ones here. And then you get here, and really you should only see Adamant, Transporter, and Gladiator. Yeah, I finally got it. Yay! Don't have to ever do that again. I don't know that I'll ever get this. Holy cow. 50 wins. That's just an enormous amount of time in... it's a good game. I like the game, but almost nobody plays it, so it's really hard to get it accomplished. But what I was saying though is, you know, most of the titles are meaningless. In fact, the only two titles that mean anything to me are this one, and I pay attention to whether it's gold or white. If it's gold, well, that ass is current, and they're most likely decked with MK3 gear, and they're ready to pants you at any turn. Nah, you kid, it's not that bad, but they definitely, by doing that, by having MK3, they're picking up 5 to 10% damage and durability across the board, which, you know, it's that little extra bit, right? And then the other one is, of course, this, the Living Legend. Because it takes, the first time you have to be amongst the top 3,000 players. After that, you just have to have a rating of over 6K or higher. So if you see this one here and it's gold, that means that guy in the very last season was over 6K. If it's white, that just means sometime more than one season ago he was over 6K. But that could have been months ago, it could have been the very first one. There's no way of knowing. Same thing with like any Ex Machina one, right? If it's not gold, you know that it's been over one season since that person has upgraded something, made enough upgrades to flag it to gold, right? Because in order to get that one to flag, you know, you have to do a weapon, a robot, and then you've got to have 25 other upgrades. So when I see someone that, you know, running around with a gold Ex Machina, I'm like, they got a solid hanger. If I see somebody running around with a gold, whatever the hell that one is, I can never, League of Legends or whatever, Living Legend. If I see them with a gold Living Legend, I know that they were over 6K in the last season, most likely going to be over 6K again. And so I kind of use that like it's a little bit of a marker of caution. Although, to be honest, I don't notice too much in the actual heat of the moment itself, right? A little bit. I'll notice a clan tag, and occasionally I'll notice a player, but you'd be surprised, not very often. I'm usually very slow to recognize the names because I'm usually just watching the bots themselves and what's going on. The names just don't matter that much until afterwards. Then you're like, oh, you know, it'd almost be nice did you know in Free For All how they hide everybody's names? You know, if you're not in a squad, all the people that you go in with, their names should be hidden until after the match. That way you don't know who you're up against, and you're not making any decisions based upon, you know, prejudging somebody. I guess if that makes any sense, you know what I mean? You're not looking at it going, uh-oh, you know, you're looking at every match as, you know, you have to do whatever. Come on, because you don't know, right? I'm fully charged now, so at this point I'm free to abandon ship, right? Okay. Oh, I see. Now this to me is a position I don't like to be in because this is what I consider to be a bit exposed. Which is why I'm moving to get off of it right now. Uh-oh, wow, I burned him down a little too fast for me. Uh-oh, hi bud. Come after me? You good? Come on, give it to me. There we go. You know, I can tell though, what they'll probably go for first with this weapon is the cooldown cycle, because that cooldown cycle is quick. They'll lengthen that out. Now they're coming after me. Won't last long now. My team's not really doing anything to protect me. Meaning they're not sending any Titans in to engage. go down. It's just what it is. As long as they continue to allow the whole group to attack me and don't go after them, that's what it is. See, and at this point here, you know, all my guys are gone. Right? So there's no point in fighting. You know? All my guys are gone. They're not doing anything. I don't know what happened to them. They just suddenly collapsed. It's interesting. I never noticed the scares made that clicking noise. Right? Yeah, it's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. There's no point. I got no team. And that is how it goes most every time. My team just disappears. And the thing that's worst about it is they do it without dropping Titans. Half my team disappeared without dropping a Titan. I saw one Titan, two Titans. I saw the Indra, and I saw the Luchador, and myself. I don't know what happened to the other three. You know? See, so now you look at that map, and you say on that map, you can easily get one beacon. So, 0, 1, 3, 0, 0. 4 people got 0 beacons. 4 people did nothing. There's no other way to put it in a game called Beacon Rush or a game called Domination. If you effectively got 0 beacons, you're a net negative to your team. Facts. Go in and look at your beacons at the end of the run. If your total is 0 because you can take away the default beacon or the default 2 beacons, you need to rethink your approach. You know, it's funny, these things right here, they won't move no matter how many of the other things I get until I open data pads. And the only reason I'm even opening any at all, I opened up 10 this morning, is because I still have these tasks to get this pilot so that I can get the ultimate Typhon. And then I want to level the bot, but I have 0 interest because I've run up against them multiple times now, and I am wildly unimpressed. These things are not a threat. I don't consider these things a threat. I don't consider any bot with these things a threat. At least not currently. Maybe a build will come out, but I don't see it right now. And you know they're weak. You know they're very, very weak, because if we go and we look at the pilot for the Typhon, they added Whoops. 2 items to it. One which would be more like your normal thing. Speed, damage boost, shield breaker, 5 seconds. But the other one specific to that lame ass ultimate wasp. It needs another 12% damage. Yeah, it needs another 12% damage anyways. Why? Because the dot effect is non-existent. I don't understand it. I've watched that thing, I've been hit by that thing, and there is no meaningful dot effect. The whole point of the wasp and the sting and stuff were to have the damage over time, and it's minuscule. You don't even know that it's going on, and so I have no interest in that. But I want to take the Typhon, and I want to take this pilot that I have on this thing right here, this guy, because he's the blaze pilot, right? See, each time you get a dot, you gain damage. Alright, yeah, but see, the sacrifice on that guy is unacceptable, because for this guy in the blaze, he gets an extra charge, and that extra charge, I don't know if you've ever watched, that's absolutely critical. You're not going to last real long in the Rex without it. So then I look at it and I say, okay, well, what if you just consider that pilot as a single skill pilot, like most of the pilots are, for the bots, right? Single skill. And at that point, I look and I say, aggravate. I can put it on any bot and I can use aggravate. Elax and Murex have higher firing accuracy, 25%. Then you can still get increased shot grouping. You can do a sharpshooter, so you can get a 50% increased grouping on it, right? So I want to take and I want to put the Blaze Murexes, 4 of those, on an ultimate Typhon with this guy right here, and I want to have sharpshooter and aggravate. So, and at 500, then this will also then have, you know, the not on this thing, but on the Typhon. You know, they gave it a 600 meter weapon, but its built-in stuff is 500. And then you'll have your imp, a lockdown, and suppression, while you got the shotguns with double 25% on accuracy. And I think, because, you know, I go without the shield breaker on a lot of things already, I think I can go without the shield breaker in order to get that. You know, because pilot that comes with it, the real advantage to the pilot that's going to go with it is the shield breaker. Because if you're not using the wasp, this is pointless, and I wouldn't use the wasp, because even the ones I've seen on there with the 12%, it still kind of sucks. It's average damage. It's not great damage, and at this point out there at the top of the meta, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, maybe putting them on something like a Pathfinder would be good, where you can start stacking additional damage over time, right? But I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I have no intentions of bringing those things up. I really don't. But that's what I want to try. I tried to get Duck to put the build together, but you know, he said he would, but then he got distracted and just did his normal stuff and didn't put anything together. That's fine. You know, I'll try it eventually on my own, because you know, leveling 4 ultimate weapons, I can level 1. I mean, leveling the ultimate, it's the same cost as leveling the bot. So I'm just going to level the bot, and I'm going to put other weapons on it. I think that might be pretty interesting, though, right? Imagine, if you will, that you get that double 25%. What that did when you did it with something like the Storms, the Storm and the Ultimate Storm, you gave that extra range. It made a difference, you know. And so I want to try it. Because the other thing too about that Ultimate Typhon, you know, it's got a default speed at unleveled of 52. So I'm looking at that, thinking to myself, oh, that could have pretty good speed on it too. Because what you see on test doesn't include a pilot, right? And doesn't necessarily include all of your choices. See, here's what I was talking about, the beacon runner. You're coming out at a time when the people who have default tools that can deal with it are on the field. I don't think that that is the best time to do it. Yeah, you can get beacons. Yeah, you can get a charge. But is that actually the role of that bot in that build? You know what I mean? Dang, man. They just keep coming around the corner, don't they? But onesie twosie. Which, you know, oh, I guess I got my charge. So the question is do I go in here and try to fight with a beacon, or do I drop my Titan? I think we're going to try to take this sword out, and then I'll drop the Titan. There we go. And we'll try to go running across this. Okay, well, if you're going to do it, dude, I'm not going to waste my time. I don't need these. Nope, see, you should have let me do it, dude. You suck. I could have taken it. Good. What's good to you, bud? Ooh, you're lagging, huh? It's fine. Fine. What are you doing? Go find your own way, bud. Don't hide behind me. Jeez. Yeah, my team's not very good, are they? Oh boy. They're dropping something more useful. Track to somebody? No, I didn't. I thought we were going to lose that one. Glad we didn't. I did that. I thought we lost that one though, and I was just out there trying to pick up damage. But you know, they dropped late, but they got some down, right? So, well, all right. I'm going to call it quits here. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to get myself a snack. And then the other thing too is I'm trying not to go over an hour at this point, because even over 40 minutes, it's very hard for me to edit the video footage. And I would like to do long unbroken ones so that you guys can see my gameplay and know that it's not cherry picked and it's just how it rolls. But the laptop I run on is very old, and it's only got 8 gigs of RAM. And when I try to do a video over 40 minutes and I try to mask in my little logo and I try to even put a little bit of sound in the background, it brings me down so that when I try to say zoom in on a period of time to adjust the mask, right, it just comes to a standstill, and it can take me 15 to 30 plus seconds per click to do anything. And you know, the first half hour of the video or stuff goes relatively well, but as I go into the longer parts of it and it starts getting real long, because I don't have any memory, my system just starts swapping everything to disk, and it just gets super slow. And then once I get done with that, in order for me to export it, it's the same deal. It's super slow. And there's things I would like to do more of, but I can't because it's so slow. So I'm looking at actually getting a new laptop. You know what's funny is Kyle, I think it was Kyle that posted something in one of the streams one time about, you know, why is it that all the people with the best hangers have the worst gear? As I sit here and I look at my cell phone that is so old, I have different colored bands on it. And my laptop that's so old it chunks, freezes, and sometimes dies while I'm trying to do my videos. But look at my hanger, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, Kyle. All right, Kyle, you call that one. But what it is, it's about need. I only pay for what I feel like I need. And so I finally hit the point now. I mean, I never intended to do any video stuff. So now that I'm kind of putzing around with it some, I'm finding I need a little different equipment. So I was looking at, I don't know, not spending too much, but I think I saw something that had a 2 terabyte drive with 32 gigs of RAM, and because disk and RAM are what I'm struggling with right now, right? And it was about $2,400. So I think I'm going to get one of those on order, and then we'll see about replacing this machine with it. Now the question is whether or not I continue to game on this machine and I just run my graphics over to the other one for recording and whatever, you know, I don't know. We'll see though. I hate to let a machine go to waste, and usually if you can split your processing out, you can get better results. You know, the one thing about this is, before I totally disappear, so this thing's so old. You ever have that old computer, that old laptop where the fan gets super loud? Not only does the fan whir like it did when it was new, but it's got extra noises. You know what I'm talking about? It screams extra high. It's got some squeakiness. It's got some shuddering noises and stuff like that. That's the fan in this laptop. So sometimes if the processing gets heavy, it gets really loud. Now in game, it's not such a big deal. The game is very lightweight, and so that's why I think I might still be able to use it for that and just run my video over. But for anybody that ever paid attention to Billy's streams a while back when I was more active in them, before he yelled at me, I used to give him a hard time about his mic, because he'd switch between the between one of 2 mics, and when he did that, one mic, the sensitivity was very low compared to the other one, and his voice would drop down, and I'd have to crank the volume up on my laptop. Here's the thing though. There were times when I was doing more than one thing on the laptop, and I'm alt-tabbing back and forth between him and the other thing, and my fan is just cranking like crazy, making so much noise, and there's buzzing and there's screeching and stuff, and I couldn't hear him over the fan when he switched to the other mic, even with my volume turned up, right? And And so I would tell him I couldn't hear him over the fan, and he'd be looking for where the fan was on his, his fan. He thought maybe I was hearing his fan through his mic, and he trying to figure it out. And nah, I never clarified, on purpose because it was kind of fun. But yeah, no, that's my fan. It's my fan on this whole piece of crap. So I am looking at replacing that. No, it's not going to happen. It's probably, because I got to order. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks before I see it, and then I'll have to go through it and try to clean it up a little bit before I. Because I always load all sorts of crap on it, this and that. And I need to get it down to minimums if I can, and then I can load it. And then the question is do I load Steam on it? Do I run this game on it? Or do I just use it for doing video processing and stuff, right? Because I intend to later, when Steam releases that new PC little cube of theirs, I intend to get one of those and to switch over to that for running War Robots out of. And so I have a tendency to believe that if I get myself into a position where I'm using that laptop in that dedicated mode for doing the videos and audio and whatever else I'm doing on that side, and running the game in a separate box, then when the time comes and I go and I switch to that other one, it'll be real easy. I'm just swapping out a video cable basically, and I'm back up and doing the same thing. So I don't know. At least that's what's going through my head right now. That's the current theory crafting as to what I'm going to do to try to upgrade my video processing, so I don't end up spending hours, literally hours. For me to do an hour and 20-minute video, to put my little logo in there and put a little music in there, and to put all that together and export that out into a file, and then take that file and upload it, it has taken me anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So, and if I make any mistakes at all, I end up back at scratch, and I get very, very frustrated with that. And that's why you haven't seen quite as many of these talkie videos, because they're the longer ones. They're the ones where I get a little lost in things, and they're the ones that cause me the most pain in the video processing. Hopefully I'll get that resolved, and if I can get my video processing down so it takes me an hour or less, then I'll be more likely to put things together that aren't just clips of battles and things linked together right into a longer run. So anyways, that's where I'm at, and I'm looking outside right now because my computer little area here that I sit at has a 3-window wide, not a bay window, it doesn't stick out, but it's a wide window that I look out on the little park and treat area in between the apartment complexes here. There's 4 apartment complexes, and there's a little circular park with like a little bench and stuff, and there's another little grassy area out in front with trees, pine trees and other trees, and it's very pretty actually. And I face out at that, and right now as I look out, it's snowing like crazy, and it's probably going to get to 1.5 inches soon, so I'm going to have to move my truck. But, all the branches are starting to get that dusting of snow, that layer on the top, the darkness underneath. I just love it. It's just gorgeous. You got to appreciate the little things. Appreciate what the Creator's given you. Recognize it for what it is. This Christmas, I gave my mom a card, and she gave me some feathers. It was a good year. I have a couple of the feathers on a little table on the side of the wall. She's given me feathers before, and she's given me like a pine cone and stuff before, so I keep that stuff. One of the feathers I really liked this time though, and I was able to put it in my hat. I was thinking, if I ever hit 1,000 subscribers, maybe I'll reveal my face. Doubtful. I don't intend to, I'm not intending to do anything other than this, and it's just like a little hobby. So you guys may never see me. but maybe anything's possible. Anything's possible. I suppose it would be possible if I were to ever do a live stream, which is highly unlikely. But anything is possible, I guess. Highly unlikely because it looks very stressful, and I don't know. I think I might fold underneath the stress. I'm a very introverted guy. I'm a very reclusive kind of person. I can be very hard to deal with sometimes because I can get a little overly reclusive. But if you're patient with me, I'm also a very kind person. At any rate, you know, as I look out there and I saw the geese, I gave the geese some food before the snow came, and the squirrels were out and about a little bit. And you know what? It's beautiful out there, right? It's gorgeous. And it's also deadly. That is the way it is. And so when you see those little critters out there, remember, you know, they're fighting. They're fighting like we don't have to. So be respectful. Don't take them for granted. Life is the rarest thing in the universe. There's nothing more rare than life. And we are horrible. Very often very horrible in how we treat that extremely rare commodity. So just remember, it's tough out there. Be kind. Take care of yourselves.